Okay, we should be good to go. Where do you?
Okay, I will wait till 4 o'clock. And you're going to mute everybody other than the commissioners and staff, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, the meeting of the Historic Resource Commission is called to order at 4 o'clock, June 18th, 2020. The next commission monthly business meeting is going to be at 12 noon on Thursday, July 2nd, 2020, and that will also be a virtual hearing via WebEx. The next commission hearing will be at 4 o'clock on Thursday, July 18th at 2020, and that will be a virtual hearing via WebEx. My internet sometimes is a little uncertain, so if for any reason I leave the meeting, Stuart Gaboni to take over chairmanship for me. Next order on the agenda is the swearing in of staff. I believe it's Connie Tobeck and James Goodman will be speaking. Will there be any other staff speaking this evening? If not, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? Say I do, and then state your name.
I do. Connie Torbeck, Assistant Preservation Officer.
I do. Jamie Goodman, Historic Preservation Officer.
Thank you. Next will be the introduction of the commissioners. And last month it was a little clumsy. So why don't I just call the names and then respond by saying that you're present? Is everybody okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I will start with Jackie Barton.
Present.
Stuart Gaboni.
Hi, I'm present.
Joseph McCabe.
Present.
Aaron Prosser.
Present.
And I am Clyde Henry, acting as first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the whichever the date was here for the May 21st 20 meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I recognize Aaron with a second of Joseph. And then is there any discussion of the minutes? If not, I will call for the vote, and we've been doing this as a roll call vote. So Jackie.
Aye.
Stuart.
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye.
Aaron.
Yes.
I also vote aye, and therefore the minutes passes. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the staff approvals. They begin on page 3, or they are on page 3, and in addition to those items at the business meeting, item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 11 were also added to staff approval. Any discussion on those? Do I hear a motion?
Move for approval of the staff. Move for approval of the items on the staff agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Joseph seconds. That was Jackie made the motion. Joseph seconded it. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. And Jackie?
Yes.
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So the staff approvals have been approved. Next item up is the public forum and the first item up is item number 6, which was continued, I believe, for 2 or 3 meetings. And it is 667 Linwood Avenue. And I believe there's somebody here this evening representing the ownership of that.
Yes.
Perez Hagiel.
Mr. Heigl? Yes.
Mr. Hagiel, yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Haga, will you please raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening, and then state your name and your relationship to the project.
Perez Hagiel, and I'm of the Easy Property, who's in charge of the project of 67 Linwood Avenue, 43205.
And also say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Connie, would you like to tell us about the project?
A new dormer was built on the north slope of the roof prior to review and approval, and a code order has been issued. As you noted, this has been on the agenda a couple of times. Mr. Heigl submitted at your request some measurements of the existing dormer on the front and windows and so forth. And side-facing dormers are typical on this type of house in this neighborhood, so it's not an issue of there being a dormer there. It's just, I think, the details of it. And in looking at it, staff's opinion is that the windows should be the same height as the windows on the front of the facade. And as some of the commissioners have noted, the drawings for this project appear to have windows that do match the front windows, but the existing windows don't seem they seem kind of small. The existing dormer on the front has vinyl wrapped soffit and cornices, but vinyl is not appropriate for cheek soffits or return on new construction or anything constructed is new. So that would be appropriate for to add to the new dormer. And there was some discussion about possibly cornice returns, sort of a detail in the front, cornice returns. And should that be added, that detail be added to the side dormer also. So recommend approval of this application to retain and complete the new dormer with any required modifications to be submitted to this Historic Preservation Office staff for final review and approval based on your upcoming discussion.
Okay, would the owner like to add anything to that? Would you like to add anything?
No.
No. Okay. I've made some notes on this from our previous discussion, so if it's okay with the other commissioners, I'd like first on this. On the rafters on the overhang, you currently have them cut with square, so they angle back. They need to be cut plumb, like the one in the front is. Cutting it plumb means that it's perpendicular to the ground. And so will need to be a soffit board at the end of those rafters, or a fascia board. And we'd also like to see soffits underneath the overhangs like they are in front, and a cornice return like it is in the front. The windows in the drawing are, I believe, in the right location and size, but that's not what was built. And again, as Connie said, you need vinyl is not appropriate for the material on it. Other commissioners, you have other comments?
I think you nailed it, Clyde.
Okay.
Yeah, great job.
I would agree with everything Clyde said.
Okay, does the owner understand what we're saying? Do you have any questions as to how it has to be done?
And we would be assuming that it'd be a window from the approved window list instead of the vinyl.
Yes.
Thank you.
Zuko, do you have any question? I think he's muted. Can you unmute him?
Okay, I do understand. I did hear all the comments and what's needed to be done.
Okay. If you have any questions on that, Connie will be very happy to help you out. You need to submit a drawing to her showing exactly how you're going to construct it, and then it has to be constructed exactly. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Can somebody put that into a motion?
Okay, got it.
I'd like to make a motion. This is Commissioner Gibbony for 667 Linwood Avenue, that the application to include a new dormer on the north slope of the roof, to include returns, soffits, and detailing respectfully mirroring the front dormer, and in addition to the approved new windows to be installed per the drawings, and that the new drawings for the soffit arrangement be submitted to staff prior to final approval. And one other piece that we may have not discussed that I'd like to include is that the new shingles should be also on either the approved list to be used on the new dormer.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Who is at the second?
Yes, Aaron.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, what we probably should do is before we make a motion, we should say our name, and then that way it's on the recording and there won't be any problems with it. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, we will vote, and let's see. Let's start with let's do it backwards. Aaron,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
Stuart,
Yes.
Jackie.
Yes.
I also vote yes, so motion carries. We are up to our next item. Thank you very much and for coming this evening, and good luck with your project. We're up to item 10, and I believe we have a couple of people here for that. Can you unmute them? Actually, I think we have 3 people here for that. You swear to tell the truth, your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, please say aye and then state your name and your association with the project. And let's start with Bob.
I do. My name is Bob Cisco with Power Solutions. I'm the installing contractor.
Okay. And then we have Matthew and Jenny Becker. Are you there?
Yes, Elaine's here. Unfortunately, Jean's not here yet. So this is, this is Elaine Matthews Decker. I am the homeowner.
Okay, great. Okay, so then, also say I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have 2 people sworn to speak this evening on that topic. Tell us about the project.
Yes, I do have a question first, just to make sure that there's an Eric Clark present, just in case he's not someone who is wanting to speak to a case. No?
Everything.
Oh, okay, I'll go ahead, and then I just want to make sure that if someone wants to, if the public wants to speak about a case, that they have a chance to do it. So this application is to install 18 solar panels on the main roof of the house, east and southeast. And so the Columbus Register guidelines do not specifically address solar panels. So the way that I looked at this, and this will take a little bit longer than I normally spend on that report, but so I looked at it, will the property be affected by the proposed installation in regard to the following standards, which is our preservation code. So will the distinguishing characteristics of the property be destroyed? Would distinctive stylistic features and examples of craftsmanship be treated with sensitivity? And also, there's one that says, number 9, contemporary design for alteration to a property shall not be discouraged when such alteration does not destroy significant historical, architectural, or cultural material. And also, whenever possible, a new addition or alteration shall be accomplished so that its future removal will not impair the essential form and integrity of the structure. A ground-mounted solar array does not appear to be an option for this particular site due to the size of the lot and heavy foliage cover in the yard. Installation of solar panels should be on a secondary structure or less visible roof slope of the house when it can be done effectively. In this particular location, a secondary structure is not existing, and the front slope of the house is the only effective location for installation of solar panels. So staff would recommend approval based on the reversibility of the installation of the panels and that it will not impair the essential form and integrity of the structure. If the commission thinks that they need additional documentation showing no other placement will work, and more details regarding possible colors or shades of shingles and solar panels, then you could also choose to continue to the next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Would either of our guests that are here for this project want to add to what she had to say?
This is Bob. No, I think that accurately describes kind of the ideal location for the panels from a pure production perspective. That surface is really kind of the only real candidate for it to produce in any kind of a reasonable way to save money and offset carbon, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Would any of the commissioners want to start the conversation on this?
Could I add one thing?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Elaine Matthews Decker. I think the original proposal suggested black shingles just because we thought you might like that, but we are open to switching to something chosen off your list of acceptable shingles. We are not tied to the color at all.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Jamie? Yes, Mr. Goodman.
Could we have Bob please discuss why the rear slope won't work when we have the satellite imagery that shows it's just exposed, just so that we have that on the record as to why the front slope is more preferable to the rear slope. Thank you.
Sure, very good. Yeah. So the ideal orientation for solar is basically due south. That's how it collects the most irradiance from the sun. So to put them, southeast, southwest, or even east and west is still okay. It produces less, but once you start going above 90 to 100 degrees and really start orienting them due north, they start to degrade in performance pretty considerably, upwards of 35% reduction, which would be a little problematic, but it's mostly the science behind the irradiance and what the silicon does with the irradiance to basically produce power.
Thank you. Commissioners, who wants to lead off the discussion?
I have a quick question. For the roof replacement, are we talking about all the roof would be replaced with the black or just what's underneath the solar panels?
Well, so we will replace the entire roof before we do the solar project. And like I said, we'll pick whatever shingles are appropriate and that you would like.
Okay, thank you.
Clyde, we talked about this a little bit. This is Jackie Barton. Talked about this a little bit at the business meeting. I feel really strongly that historic districts should be working as hard as possible to integrate new energy technologies. And in the case of this particular property, we have a home that does not have a, this is not a slate mansard roof or something where a solar panel is going to damage the inherent historic fabric of the home in a way where if you took it off later, we would have had a homeowner who inherently changed the character of the home by putting a solar panel on it. And so I think I made the comparison at the business meeting. I'd like to repeat it here for the record, that I see these really in a way that's very similar to the way we look at the ADA ramps that we look at, that these are temporary installations. We know this technology will change even in 10 years and it will look different, and the homeowners coming forward in 10 years will have something different that they'll be proposing. Not necessarily you, Miss Matthews Decker, in 10 years, but someone like you will have something a little different. We know that this isn't a permanent installation on this home. This home will be here for another however many decades, and that this will be something that will change as the home stays. So I would really like to encourage us to look at this as something that as long as it's sensitively installed and it doesn't degrade the inherent character of the home or the roof line, can we make a way to move forward that our home has climate issues and energy needs, and we really want to be walking in lockstep together as we try to preserve both our natural environment and our built environment together. So that's just my statement as a commissioner here.
Thank you. Other commissioners? Anyone? Okay, then are we ready for a motion?
Jackie nailed that one.
Pardon?
I think Jackie nailed that one, Clyde.
Good. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Jackie, why don't you put that into a motion?
Great. Could somebody address the roof color and shingle question the homeowners brought up? Are you happy with the black? Is that, or does that matter? Is that something you want to leave to staff to work out the details?
I'd be happy to leave it to staff as long as it's on the approved list. I think we're all fine with it. Is
Great.
that what everybody feels like?
Yep.
So we have the approved list. Okay.
This is Jackie Barton. I move to approve in the case of 4835 Russell Bridge Road. We would like to move to approve that item for the installation of 18 solar panels in the main house, and the details of approved roofing to be worked out with the staff on staff approval.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Stuart seconded it. Any further discussion? If not, we will do a roll call vote. Jackie?
Yes.
Stuart?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I also vote yes, so the issue passes unanimously. Good luck, and I hope it's successful. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We're moving to item number 12. And let's see, I believe we have one person here for that this evening. James Washburn, are you here? Is there a James Washburn here? Okay, and mute him. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, say I do, and state your name and association with the project.
James Washburn, property owner, I do.
Okay, Connie, will you tell us about the project?
Okay, so this is for a new frame 24 by 22 garage. The garage that's being proposed is very typical of other garages that have been approved in this district in recent years. So what I just wanted to bring up was that Mr. Washburn is requesting a single 16-foot wide garage door, which is contrary to what our guidelines generally require. And so I wanted to just point out, and leave this to the commission to decide, staff need to point out some of the examples that were provided that have the 16-foot wide doors are on the other side of the street, which does have a more narrow alley behind them, behind those houses. Behind this particular house is actually Walton Avenue. It is wider. This is on the other side of the street. You can see it's kind of a narrow, and this is where this on your screen is where the proposed is. So now there was a garage right next door that was approved in 2019 with a single door. So I think that was an oversight. There are 3 other garages on this alley that were approved in recent years that do have the two doors. Now, Mr. Washburn would like to talk about where exactly his garage is located and some issues that he has with possibly getting in and out of the garage because of being located next to a church where people park a lot along this Walton Avenue. So unless there are extenuating circumstances, though, staff would recommend that there be the two doors as would be typical for a wider alley. Generally, it's only if the turning radius is very short that the single door is approved. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. James Washburn, do you do what she said?
Sure. Yeah, I think my case is a little bit unique. First, there is quite a few single garage doors on my side, directly to my left and to my right, and then you see the large 2-story back there that's also single. So just keeping with uniformity and the immediate radius, I think I counted 6 garages that have the single door. And then also there's the old Methodist church, the Ethiopian Episcopal Church now, which gets quite crowded parking wise. So where I took this picture that's currently up on the screen, there's a lot of congestion where the members park back there, and along with the garbage cans, it makes it quite difficult to get in and out multiple times a week. So I'm also fixing a foundation in the back and reinstalling with pavers. So if possible, I'd like to keep that single door to get heavy equipment in and out, to bust up the concrete and get the necessary supplies I need into the back.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments?
So I understand your comment about bringing equipment in and bringing pavers in and things, but couldn't that be done prior to the garage construction?
It could. It just timeline wise, it's kind of my last on my to-do list.
Yeah, but you understand we can't make decisions from a historic character standpoint because of the timeline of the additional work you're doing on the property.
Right. I understand that. I would. That's just kind of a secondary reason. I think first and foremost is immediately to my left and right and further down the street, there's single car garages. So just maintaining that uniformity, and also my unique circumstances with the church parking, it would be pretty difficult not hitting the median with all the cars parked back there multiple times a week, getting in and out of the garage. There really is limited parking back there. So people just kind of park in the middle of the alley. So the turning radius would be shortened significantly.
Okay, other commissioners? Joseph, what are you thinking?
I I mean, I would just prefer to have the garage built to the standard, which includes the 2 doors.
Okay, Stuart?
Well, here's my take. I think that there's some inconsistency with the adjacent property having a single door. I would be willing to consider the single door if we lost the larger door that leads to the backyard, because I think that part of my condition, if we allowed for that door on the interior portion, is that it would need to be heavily screened to eliminate pass-through of vehicles and those kinds of things. That's where I see that leading.
Okay, Jackie, what's your feeling?
I agree with Stuart.
I don't have a concern with the interior door coming into the yard. I don't think that's the intention, is to bring vehicles through based on the designs we saw. I think from an exterior standpoint and consistency along in the district, it feels like we should require the 2 doors. Connie, can we talk a little bit about the one that was approved in 2019 as a single door? Was there any explanation that we gave during that case?
No, I can't. The only thing I can say is that, you know, this was during a time when we were super short-staffed, and, you know, we were juggling a lot of things, and I think it was just an oversight.
Was that a staff approval or a board approval?
It was moved to staff approval at a business meeting.
Thank you. I would prefer then to just keep it the standards. If we're making an approval by the board, I would prefer to stick with the standards.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that everybody's in agreement that the garage can be built, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of opposition to putting a garage door on each side, but it seems like there's a real feeling that we need to stick to the standards and having the double door. Can somebody put together a motion? Joseph, would you put together a motion on that, please?
Sure. In the case of HR-20-06-028, they're always in the affirmative, so this would be a motion to approve the garage, but only with a commitment from the applicant to amend to 2 garage doors instead of a single garage door.
Annie, did you have a question?
I just was concerned to perhaps ask the applicant. He hasn't modified his application. Does he want a vote on using a single door, or does he want to modify it with 2 doors? I understand there could possibly be a denial. That's what.
Yeah, I'm okay with the 2 doors if that's a standard that we want to stick to. Have the garage built, so I'm not gonna go again for this. So I think the 2 doors is all right. It's just going to be a little bit more of a headache for me, but that's okay.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. I should have done that before we moved ahead. Joseph, can you continue with your motion?
Yep. So Chair Henry, let the record reflect that the applicant did agree to the 2-door amendment and to approve for or allow for the construction of the garage as presented, the remainder of the way as presented by the applicant.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Jackie.
Okay, thank you. There is a motion. Any further discussion needed? Okay, if not, then we're going to go ahead and vote, and we will start with Jackie.
Yes.
Stuart.
Hey.
Joseph.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
And I also vote in the positive, so the motion carries. Congratulations and good luck. Thank you for coming in this evening.
Thanks so much.
So that was a
Okay.
4, 4, 1, and 0, correct?
Pardon me?
Stuart, you voted against this? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're right.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So so it's 4 in favor and one opposed. Okay, agenda item number 13. I believe we have the architecture for that this evening. Is that correct?
Correct.
This is Michael Hayes. I'm the architect.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, say I do, then state your name and your association with the project.
I do. I'm Michael Hayes. I'm the architect for the project and the representative of the owner.
Great, thank you. Connie, can you tell us about this project?
Okay, so this has several components to build a new front porch, a new rear porch. There are no porches at this point. Install new windows, which are all either missing or deteriorated. Install new doors, which currently are all not original. Repair and replace existing wood siding to build a new garage and a privacy fence. And so this actually has been before the commission a couple of times in the past. It just had a different owner. The owner sold, the same architect was hired. And so this is consistent with what was seen by the commission before. The proposed porches are based on historic footprints taken from Sanborn maps. A window schedule has been submitted, an appropriate window schedule. Existing siding is being retained and repaired, and the garage appears to be per the guidelines. So staff would recommend approval as submitted with required cut sheets for house and garage doors to be submitted to HBO staff. And I also sent you, I'm not sure if some of you got it, our email hasn't been working. Oh, you got it? Got the colors?
Yes.
Thank you. So that's the way it looked before.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes, you want to add anything to that?
No, I believe that's accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to add that the door cut sheets are at the end of the window schedule. The Pella representative added them on there as well. So the door cut sheets are represented in the submittals.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments you want to make?
I do have a quick question. This is Commissioner Gibbony. I'm looking at the window schedule, and the Pella windows that are listed are clad. Is that a metal cladding?
I believe it is. Yes, that's correct. This is I believe the Architect series by Pella, or the Reserve series.
I believe the Reserve is what's listed.
Yes, that's correct.
And it says that they're in white.
It's clad white. That's my understanding. I think that they call it their EnduraClad finish, and it is in white. And the trim would match the windows.
I guess my question again is, are you saying that that's a metal cladding?
I believe the EnduraClad is a metal cladding, but I could verify that with the Pella.
And this is on the approved list of windows.
It is on the approved list. That's correct.
Okay.
As far as the doors, though, I had forgotten about this, but yes, one thing about those half lights is that generally the muntins are not generally approved. Perhaps it's okay. I mean, this has 4 lights instead of like 9 or some of them usually do. So this may be okay, actually.
Okay, other commissioners? Concerned? Anything? If not, make a motion.
I do have a quick question. Is what will the new porch roofs require gutters around them? I see no gutters or downspouts called out for.
They probably will have gutters and downspouts. Those were just omitted for clarity in that porch enlargement drawing.
Okay, so gutters and downspouts probably have to come back to Connie, perhaps for staff approval. That would be my suggestion.
Right, but I would expect they would be standard type K aluminum gutters to match the trim in white.
And are the light fixtures proposed the same light fixtures that would be on the garage, or are there any other additional fixtures on the garage? Or are they just on the house?
My understanding is they're just on the house. I think the owner reviewed that and chose to have them on the house.
Okay, just any of the fixtures can be, again, you'd have to come back for anything additional if they're proposing anything additional.
Okay, we understand that.
Okay. Who would like to make a motion? Stuart, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I can make a motion. For 664 Oakwood Avenue, we have a applicant applying for certificate of appropriateness on heavy exterior renovations in addition to a site. The new porches will be shown on the 1901, 1921 Sanborn maps, as well as the rear porch, installing windows in accordance with the approved list. Do have the sheets as well. Installing new doors, replacing all the non-original missing doors. We do have the cut sheets for those. Repairing the siding, and painting the material, building a two-car garage with the attached drawings, which are complete, installing a 6-foot-high wood privacy fence in the rear per submitted, and submitting the final details for landscape, screen, and fixtures that are not included.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Great. Aaron seconded it. Okay, any other discussion? Then let's move ahead with the vote. Jackie? Stuart?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I also vote yes, so it passed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming in. The next item on the agenda is item 14, 559, 561 South Champion Avenue. And I believe someone is here this evening to speak to that. Jeffrey Steele, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, say I do, state your name and your association with the project.
I do. Jeffrey Steele, property owner.
Great, thank you. Connie, we present the project?
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm having some issues here. My screen is frozen. So I'll just go ahead and so this is actually a 1964 duplex, and the request is for new doors and windows, to paint the existing non-contributing garage that's unpainted now. It's concrete block. To do some removal of some pine trees in the rear yard that appear to be dead or dying, and to install new patios in the rear yard. And so following the business meeting comments, the applicant has decided that he is okay with retaining and repairing the existing house doors. And additional photos were submitted with those. So painting of the concrete block garage and installation of a new garage door is appropriate. Perhaps a simpler door design would be more appropriate. Trees proposed for removal are deteriorated and would possibly consider adding new trees. Commissioner comments regarding retaining existing windows if possible or replacing with similar pattern windows have been conveyed to the applicant. And so that needs to be discussed. I have not been out there to see the condition of the aluminum windows, which are a mix of Chicago single hung and Chicago style on the front and jalousie windows. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, would you add to that and then add also whatever you would like to say? But I would like to hear some more comments about the Chicago style windows in the front of the house.
So the main thing that I want to do is have new windows for the sake of, I mean, a lot of these windows are single pane windows, and for the transmission of cold in the winter, that is my main concern with wanting to add new windows. As far as the style of the windows, I genuinely am open to whatever you feel would be adequate for the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, who would like to start out the discussion?
Chair Henry, I'm willing to take a go at this one, and just from the start is I think that although the house might seem foreign in some ways to the historic district, it's now older than 50 years and really part of the fabric of the district. It is a well-preserved 1960s exterior, and I think it's important to pick any in-kind replacement types of windows to those to really keep up the character of the house, which is not to take, that unique. I don't mind swapping out operation types, i.e. the jalousie windows, for a window that may mimic the same pattern when closed, i.e. the mullion pattern or division of light pattern. But I kind of think that one of the unique things is you don't just drop a double hung in and you take a window that's a 1/1 as a replacement for something that's 3 distinct sections. That really helps make the horizontal emphasis on a 1960s home and what it is and why it's unique. And these mid-century homes have come back in vogue a lot. You can see so much mid-century interest in furniture, interiors right now, that I think that, right now there are many good preservation alternatives for industrial sash windows or similar windows from mid-century product type windows that would actually look very appropriate and would be a perfect replacement or a reasonably close replacement for the current windows, even if they have to be made out of an alternate metal product, a metal window replacing windows in pattern that are like. I do understand the sensitivity for energy upgrades, those kinds of things, but I personally would see that replacing a double hung and where some of these windows currently are would not be consistent with guidelines and really keeping with the 1960s aesthetic of this is a unique structure now in a rather, largely post-Victorian neighborhood, and it deserves merit and to stand on its own for what it is.
I have a question. So we typically, our standard for window replacement is that there's such a level of deterioration, and I would assume that would apply in this case as well. And Connie, you haven't been able to see the level of deterioration, is that correct?
No, I have not been out there. I wasn't sure if it was occupied or I didn't want to poke around.
That's fair. I want to be sure that even though I get that it's a 60s house and that there's opportunities to replace the windows, that typically our standard has been only in the case of deterioration and not for, just the energy efficiency or anything. And I just want to be sure that if we make an exception in this case, that there's reason to do so.
Okay.
Well, one of the things I think we've looked at in the past is wood deterioration, which is probably different than metal fatigue or metal deterioration. So we may need to think in terms of a little different standard on some of these things with aluminum.
Gotcha. That's helpful.
And also, just to add to that, sometimes the commission has looked at that with steel casements in old beach wall, because as Clyde was saying, there's metal fatigue, things get out of shape, they rust, and with aluminum, you know, it's not the most strong type of metal. So, and you can't get the replacement parts anymore either. So, you know, I would be happy to go out and look at them if you know that's okay with the property owner.
I mean, if there's another reason to allow the replacement that is compatible with the way we've done business, I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that there's not.
Right. For the record.
Yeah. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about it.
I think Aaron's question is really important, and I know as we move forward with the guidelines revision that the staff has talked about working on, this could be really important since we have more and more of these more modern buildings coming on. So with our current homeowner, forgive us for a moment as we talk about this. It's always fun. The new cases. But I think I feel like we had like an early mid-century building that was an apartment building not too long ago that had metal casement windows, and they came in and they had deterioration, but they also talked about energy efficiency, but they did have deterioration. Aaron, was my memory of that. But I do also know that these aluminum cased windows have a much worse case for energy efficiency than, say, our wood double hung or even wood casement windows do when they're repaired properly. And so what I think that this is something that the staff and commission should be prepared to help homeowners navigate a little bit in terms of, I think now we have lots of advice to give for other kinds of windows about how to storm. We've been able to point people to things like that. And I think Aaron's asking really good questions about if these windows are in good shape, can we put this homeowner to any tools to help him deal with winters when he has basically a metal square conducting cold into his home.
Yep.
We, on the apartment, if it's the same one that I think you're thinking of, we ultimately did allow for the windows to be replaced when an appropriate window was found that not only it wasn't an exact match because of the thickness was different on it, had to be, but it mimicked the feel and the soft and the buttons and the mullions and so forth as closely as it could, and its appearance and sort of stylistically worked well with the building. And I think that's what we ultimately decided on that. That even though it wasn't exactly 1/8 of an inch for 1/8 of an inch, we decided it would work. Stuart, any thoughts on it?
I agree with the discussion on the windows. We need to first evaluate the condition. I think that's very, very important, and I think that's a great catch. Secondly, if there is deterioration in the aluminum and the function, appropriate infill to give the right feel, as Chair Henry described, having style, detail, massing, all those things have a distinctive visual effect, and I think that should be strongly considered. Now, I have a question about as you're walking up the front porch. You'll notice that the brick planter is missing as opposed to the one on the right. I'm not sure if we had discussed this or not, or if that's something that could be addressed maybe by the owner.
Jeff, can you address that?
So I just purchased this property within the last week and actually noticed that until you just brought that up. That was done as part of adding, you can kind of see it off to the left there. There's a concrete handicap ramp that does not actually meet the grade of ADA compliance, but it's there. My guess is that it was removed at the time that that ramp was added, and that the brick planter on the right side is starting to crack and fall apart. So my guess is the one on the left was doing that as well, is probably why it was removed.
Okay.
I'm open to rebuilding both of them if that is a feature that we want to maintain on the front of the building.
Those built-in planters are pretty integral to some of these mid-century style ranches, but you haven't brought that here today, so I don't know what Commissioner Gibney wants to say about that. I'd like to just say one more thing about the windows, Chair, if I can. I think
Yes.
before we move into planters, I just want to note that I know we've talked about maybe functionality is not as important as the profile of the mullions and things, but I actually think that functionality, especially on those front windows, does have some importance. And so if we move into a space where we're doing replacement, if it's at all possible to get that sort of jalousie style opening, even when you look at the picture of your house where the windows are open, that is such a distinct thing. And we don't typically let homeowners replace casement windows with double hung, for example, because casement windows are available. And that is such a distinct thing to swing a window sideways instead of sliding it up, right? So I just want to note that. I think that the thing that my fellow commissioner was probably trying to do is acknowledge that this is a specific kind of window that hasn't been replaced as often. So we don't know. I don't know what's on the market. But I think that I would just like to go on record as saying, if it's at all possible to, if we move to a space with this project where replacement is something that's happening, or in future cases, I would actually say that it's important, especially for the front facade of the building, for try to retain that functionality, because it's so distinct to me that you have sort of those teeth, those saw teeth kind of coming out. It's such a cool thing. And it's so
Okay. We've talked a lot about the windows on this. There's also a number of other items. Does anyone want to address any of the other items?
I'm fine with them.
Okay.
Commissioner,
the fence, the patio, everything.
Chair Henry, I'd like to mention as well with the plan, I think we can move on, but the applicant mentioned that he was interested in rebuilding those. And I may have a suggestion as to if the bricks look as if there is a very light mortar between them on the unit to the right of the planter. And if that's going to require rebuilding, there might be some value in using the interior bricks that are holding that together to face the facade of the left unit planter so that they match, and then infill with bricks that's similar.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's a repair, which is not currently on the list.
Correct.
And we
But
modify that.
suggested.
He was interested in doing that.
So
Okay.
one thing I would almost like to suggest, Chair, is with discussion with the applicant here, is what on the current proposal he needs to move forward with, or could this be a continued application until next meeting so that Connie could actually go out and see the windows and work with the applicant to identify either a repair or restoration solution for the windows, or if it's a replacement case on the windows, so we have adequate details and consideration, so that we really look at those things. By the way, I do notice that there's a glass block window in the photo we've got up right now, which isn't a viable solution. That probably is a more recent window. And then if there's additional work scope on there, i.e. the brick, Connie can walk the applicant through what is approvable in the way of brick restoration. Just so that the applicant's off to the right start day one. But it sounds like he's retaining and just repainting existing doors and some other things. He could start on some of that work without really, paint coating is not something you generally come before this commission before, but a lot of the other more major things he could have time with and work out with Connie on. Just a suggestion, a thought of mine at this point, depending on how quickly he wants to move forward.
I mean, I'd be comfortable approving the doors, the garage, and the landscape hardscape components, and kind of getting more detail from Connie and the applicant on the windows, and letting him at least move forward with those pieces.
Okay, Jeff, can you talk about your schedule a little bit? How that might work if we divide this into pass some of it tonight and then continue some of it?
Yeah, the windows can function completely separate from the entire rest of the project as far as I'm concerned. So I have no problem giving us some time to gain some details on that. And I have not had the opportunity to explore the availability of those two window styles that are on the front of the building. So then Connie can come take a look, and I can see what the availability of matching those windows would be, and have that information for the next meeting.
Okay, great. I think that answers that. Other questions, or does somebody want to kind of put this into a part A, part B type of a resolution?
If I can recommend, I think Aaron had a really good suggestion. Aaron, if you're not opposed to it, maybe you could present the opportunity.
Sure. So motion to approve HR 20-06-030, 659 661 South Champion Avenue, what I'll call Part A. And so the first would be to approve the new doors, the garage, and the landscape and hardscape improvements as proposed. And then separating the windows into a Part B. So do we want to vote on Part A first and then Part B?
Let's vote on Part A, and then you could propose Part B, and then we could move to continue it.
Continue it. Got it. So yes, that's my motion for Part A.
Okay, do we have a second on her motion, Part A?
Second.
Okay, that was Stuart, that was you, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, we will call the vote then.
I do have a quick question, Chair Henry. Is it
Okay.
new doors or what was the door scope? Yeah, I think the motion included new doors.
I believe that referred to the new garage doors.
New garage doors. Okay, clarity in the motion.
Yes, and painting of the existing doors, correct, on the house.
Correct, yes.
Okay, and are those clarifications okay with the second? Stuart?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Okay, let's vote. Yeah.
This is Commissioner Gibney. Did the applicant want to include the planters out front on A, or do we want to continue that with B?
Jeff, would you like to?
If that's something that you are all in agreement on, then I would put that in Part A so that it's approved, ready to move forward on.
Okay.
Chair Henry, I'd actually like to take a stance just on the inclusion of that, because I do not feel that the applicant's actually provided us information on what his solution is.
I agree.
Okay. And the standards do require, specifications and mortar and a few other things be presented.
And it may be something that could be staff approved at some point, but until there's some kind of materials that get presented to either staff or us, I'm not comfortable with it either.
Okay, well then let's leave the motion as is, and since we can't change it because you're not allowing us to change it anyways. Okay. Any other discussion then? Okay, let's vote. Jackie?
Yes.
Stuart?
Aye.
Joseph?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay. And then why don't you make a Part B motion so we know what it is? And then once we get a second on it, then we can move to continue that.
Got it. So in the case of HR 20-06-030, 659, 661 South Champion Avenue, what we're calling Part B is the continuation of the conversation for the replacement of the windows on the property. And is the motion to continue?
I think you need to make a motion first.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, make a motion to approve, and then that way we will know what we're continuing.
Okay, so motion to approve Part B of this case for the replacement of the windows.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, then somebody can move to continue it.
Move to continue. Jackie?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded to continue. So that's what we're voting on. I'll do a roll call vote. Jackie?
Yes.
Stuart?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I also agree. Okay, Jeff, do you understand all that?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
so basically everything's been passed except for the windows. When you come back, if you decide to add the planters, you could add that along with the windows and in your okay. Well, good luck.
All right.
It's a wonderful house. I think you're going to enjoy it. These mid-century houses are really, I think, a great investment right now. So, thank you for coming in, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
On. Let's move on to agenda item number. Oh, is that the last one?
That's the last one, yes.
Okay, that's the last one.
Do you have new business?
Right. New business, we currently do not have a vice chairman. So we would have difficulty should I become incapacitated. So I think we could fill that position. Is there anybody interested in that position?
I'm fine with it, Chair Henry, if the commission would support that.
Pardon me?
I'd be willing to do that, Chair Henry.
Okay. Anybody
How
else?
convenient, because I was going to nominate you, Joe.
Okay. Well then, you go ahead and make a nomination. Unless somebody else is interested.
Is anyone else interested?
I think Joe's our guy.
All right.
Okay, well then make a motion.
I would like to nominate our fellow commissioner, Joseph McCabe, for vice chair.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, then I guess we'll do a roll call vote. We'll start with Jackie.
Yep.
Stuart.
Yes.
Joseph.
Abstain.
Aaron?
Yes.
Okay, and I will also vote yes. Okay. Motion passes, and Joseph is on the vice chair. Let me see. I think that's the only item on the agenda on new business. So I guess we need a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second, Jackie.
We have a second. Okay. Is there any discussion on adjournment? I guess we normally don't do that. Start with Aaron.
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Stuart.
Yes.
And Jackie.
Yes.
And I also vote to adjourn. Therefore, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks for all coming.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, guys.
We did it in about an hour.
Yay.
Perfect.
Not mad.
Night.
Great timing on